everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a few of the built-in Microsoft Excel functions to create your own custom formula to split out first and last names from a column of single full names. But before I do, please take a minute to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like, leave a comment below about this video letting me know what you think about it. So without further ado, let's get started. Today I'm going to show you how to create your own custom formula using some built-in functions in Microsoft Excel to split out customer full names, or well, full names in general. But we have a customer name column here. Split these out into their own first and last name column. So without further ado, let's get started. In this video, I'm going to show you, or at least introduce you to 4 of the built-in functions in Microsoft Excel you may or may not have seen. The first one's going to be EllyIn, and what this does is if I just type equals here, EllyIn, it'll show me that actually let me go back, it'll tell you here that it returns the number of characters in a text string. So you can either be a literal string, so if you were to open your parentheses here for the formula, you've got one argument, and that's just text. So it could be literal text string between double quotes, or it could be actual cell value. So in this case, we're going to choose the first row of our customer names here, and I'm going to close the parentheses, and it's going to give me the full length in number of characters. And so what that's giving me is the full length of the first and last name and the space in between, and that's actually going to be relevant here in a few minutes. So the next built-in function we want to use is the find function. So if we type equals find, it tells us here it returns the starting position of the one string, or the one text string, within another text string. And so in this case, we're going to be looking for the space between the first and last name. It's a pretty simple example. And so what we'll do is our find text is our first argument, and that's going to be just a space between double quotes. And then the within text is going to be the actual cell reference of the name, and then we don't need the third argument in this case, so we're going to close our parentheses and hit enter. So it's going to tell me that the space between the first and last name on row 2 is actually in the 7th position. So this is actually relevant as we move over to the left function. So if I type equals left, if you've never used left, it returns the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. So what we're trying to do is actually extract the first name. So since we know the position of the space between the first and last name, we're going to use that in this case. So I'm going to open my parentheses. The text is going to be the cell reference. And then the number of characters we want to return is actually not 7, because we don't want to return the space. It's going to be 1 less than that, so we'll have to do a -1. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and use this cell reference, since that formula's already done that for me, and I'm going to put -1 before I close the parentheses. So that brings back Maurice, or maybe that's Maurice. Either way, this is how you extract your first name. Right actually does what left does, but it does it from the right side. So to supply the number of characters we need takes a little more finesse in this case. So I'm going to go ahead for our text argument. We know that's going to be the cell where our first and last name are. To get the number of characters from the right, you might imagine that all I need to do is have the full length minus the position of the space. And because we know the next position, or position 8 in this case, is going to be the position of the first letter of the last name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this cell reference minus this cell reference, and that gives me 8 characters. And so sure enough, that brings back our last name. So the real magic in this combined formula is that you're using the length, or the EllyIn function, as well as the find function, to give you dynamically whatever the full length of all those characters for first and last name are, no matter what row it is, and then where the space falls. So I'm going to leave it to you as a challenge to combine these formulas. Like for instance, so B2 minus C2 would actually be this EllyIn A2 minus find space A2. So you can actually combine those in and make one big formula, but I've broken it out this way so you can kind of see it conceptually. And then once you do that, all you need to do is I'll go over here to the column A, and then I'll press Control, hold that down, and then arrow down. And then arrow one over, hold my Shift key down, while I arrow over 4 columns where all my formulas are, and then Control-Shift up to capture that entire range. And then all I got to do is do Control-D, and it fills everything down. And so you can see here how quickly you can sort of automate your workflow if this is something you have to do on a regular basis. Create that formula, then just copy it down, and now you have your first and last name parsed out into their own columns. So I wrote a blog post about this exact same use case. If you'd like to take a deeper dive on that, I'll leave a link to that blog post in the description below. Please take a minute to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.